Hello, welcome to the House Heroes Tuesday night edition of everything related to real estate. Today we've got some great new information for you from new home builds. So it's the latest in new home builds, what you need to know to save you money when you're out there shopping for a new home. Just want to say thanks for joining us. Obviously, we're here on Facebook live Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock, in Spanish as well. Thursday night, Roxy's here. 8 p.m. on Thursday, and then 2 o'clock Friday, we got Deal of the Week. And the other days of the week, you can watch Min on What's a Mortgage here as well. And we're cross-posting tonight. So if you guys follow us on the House Heroes, definitely follow What's a Mortgage as well. If you're just following Wham, definitely follow the House Heroes as well. We'll make sure we keep bringing you guys all great content. Thank you again for joining us. Troy, what do we got tonight?
Well, first of all, we're very interactive here, guys. So if you have any comments, questions, anything, go ahead, hit the comment button. Definitely, if you want to see us go live here on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, we go live as well. Deal of the week. Definitely hit the notification button. And if you have any questions, and you want to make it more private, you can private message us. We have no problem as well. We're glad to see you here on a Tuesday night. Things are changing in our world every single day. And I know that we start off a lot here with the news and the numbers and the virus and the market. And that's what we're going to start off tonight, Brian. What do you got for us?
I just want to get rid of the virus part and keep it on the Corona part. We'll just keep it on Corona. Yeah, so let's go through some of the numbers here. Los Angeles County, 774 active listings a month ago. This week we had 884 for the week.
Right, and I think that we're seeing, and if you see the numbers, they're kind of fluctuating a little bit. It's very interesting as inventory had dropped the first 2 weeks, but now the inventory is going up the last 3 weeks. But what's more interesting, and we're going to get to in a few minutes, is how many properties that are actually leaving the market out of these actives. So go ahead and hit the next one, Ryan.
Absolutely. Here we go. Orange County. Same thing. So actives, it seems like we have about the same number going pending that are coming on the market new.
Right, which is definitely bucking the trend at the moment. What we're actually seeing here is the actual actives here on 392 new ones at the market. We have 332 pendings, and what's interesting is 342 solds. So we're actually seeing in Orange County, what comes in goes right back out, right? It's being sold. It's being put back on pending. It's very, very interesting. This county right here is really on fire, burning. It really burning it off. Whatever comes in goes right back out.
And like we showed, I think it was Friday's market update. 36% of the demand was in the first-time home buyer slot, and there was only 14% of the inventory. So we still had roughly 3 buyers to every one listing.
Well, that was crazy. I know those numbers are wild. We're going to bring that to you at our weekly market update, I should say. We do it every single Thursday and Friday. We post that on our Facebook. We also post it on Instagram as well as YouTube. Riverside County, and this is where it's becoming very, very interesting because the affordability factor in this county as well as San Bernardino County is so enticing to people. They'll actually work, let's say, in parts of Orange County and parts of Los Angeles County. And what are we seeing here? Let's just look at the last actual week. So the week ending the 26th, from April 20th to 26th, the actives are at 43, but the pending soared.
That's wild.
517, and you have 423 properties that actually were sold. Those are credible numbers, man. Those show that the affordability now is turning. And what I'm running into, and I think you're running into as well, is we're capping out at the FHA at loan limits at this in these areas. The FHA loan limit, at 4, I think it's 462 or 458, right around there. I mean, we're talking about those are entry level in Corona and in those other
Riverside, stuff like that. Yeah, City of Riverside, Moreno Valley, a lot of that. Absolutely.
Let's take a look here at San Bernardino County, and this is really just really hits home here. 389 new listings that hit the market. So sometime during the week, the property went active. Now, it could be a brand new listing, but also it could be where it went pending and went back to active, or it was on hold and went back to active. So we're just taking the active properties touched for at least 1 second during April 20th and 26th. But look again at the pendings.
Yep.
They're just neck and neck. So whatever comes on the market is going right back into pending, and the solds are at 330. So these numbers are, and these numbers are huge. I mean, they're just showing how the affordability is in that county.
I'm going to flip back through the counties really quick one more time. So in Riverside, there was actually more that went pending than even went active. So yeah, we're going to see a decline. Now, obviously, some of those might fall out, go back to active again next week, if there's inspection issues and stuff like that. But I remember we were talking last week, on our weekly, that we were a little worried that actives were at 800 in LA, and they really pendings were down at 500. But you see a huge return and resurgence this week as people are back out in the market and expecting these restrictions to be lifted and people to get slowly back to normal life, or this new normal we're talking about. So even LA really rebounded.
All right. So I want to kind of explain, the actives, and then what possibly is happening with the actives and what's happening with other segments of the market. When we look at an active, and I'm just taking Los Angeles County, Orange County, I'm taking the counties from April 20th to 26th. Let's just take a look at Los Angeles. There was 884, as we've shown before, actives that were on the market, right? That hit sometime in the week. But what we're seeing, though, besides the solds and the pendings, we're seeing a significant amount, almost 50%, that are being taken off on what's called holds, withdrawals, and cancels. That means that a property went active and then was taken down off the active status and put on hold for whatever reason, withdrawn off the MLS, or canceled off the MLS. So people that might have gotten tired of their property on the market, or people that just got scared right off the bat, or they couldn't figure out how to show their home,
or they decided this really was their forever home. They're not moving up. They're not downsizing. They're going to live here till they die. They decided to withdraw that from the MLS. And, it's interesting you mentioned this hold situation here. I had one the other day. Property, just moved off hold to active. Try to get a hold of the agent. Have a client that's been, he's seen it property, pop active, go to hold, pop active, go to hold. And what I realized when the agent failed to respond to me at all, no response to calls, no response to text, I realized, you know what? That only lets you put a property on hold for 2 weeks, and then it automatically moves it to active unless you extend it. This Bobo probably didn't move it back to, the date on hold, and turned around, and it just keeps bouncing around active, looking like, to clients out there that's available. So it's frustrating because, he probably hasn't locked in to the MLS recent enough to get the notice, hey, this is about to move to hold automatically. And so because he doesn't do much business, he's not logging in and didn't see it, moves to active again. And now I got a client out there going like, hey, it's going to go active. It's going to go active. No, it's not. Still no response, no ability to show it. And that's what's some of these numbers are that, where it's bouncing back and forth from hold to active.
Right. And so if I think about what the definition of sold is that property is sold. It's not going to be sold again, right? When you put the word sold on the MLS, it's locked in. If it goes to pending, then you have a chance. If it falls out of escrow, it goes back to active. But solds are locked in. And so when you look at the overall numbers on the market, we continue to see after the actives, everything else is crushing down that number. And that's why we're seeing inventory as low as 2 months worth of supply, even less than 2 months at this point. So national numbers and the numbers that we're showing you here are showing that actual solds, the percentage of solds are going down. But we're also showing you that the actual numbers of actives are being affected by many other categories, causing those numbers to decline. Yet, I saw today that the average home price in the United States year over date, so last April 2019 to this April 2020, is gone up 8%. So that's basically saying less homes, less sales because of less homes, but market's hot and prices are going up.
Yep.
It's exactly opposite of what happened in 2008.
So let us know if you guys have questions about any of these numbers. I know we're throwing them at you kind of quick. It might be hard to see if you're watching on an iPhone where these numbers are. If you've got questions, please hit us up. Like we said, we're interactive. We love to answer any questions you have. Want to give a couple shout outs. What's up, Chris Cooper, Andy? See Rose out there watching, Maria. Paul said we had an echo for a while, but maybe it was fixed. We definitely are going to get some new mics in here. Patty, good, thanks for joining us. Nicole, Jamie Cruz, thank you. Mary, Sarah, Samuel. I feel like it's romper room out there. Hello, I see.
Well,
I spy.
Hey, Dad, how you doing, buddy? Julio, how's it going? It says lender paid closing costs. What rate is expected? It's kind of funny. That's something that Min will definitely get to you in a little bit, but the closing costs is a whole nother category which we can go into, and it's because as the market gets hot, those homes that have multiple offers, they're not wanting to give closing costs out because they're pushing the amount, the value, and the appraisal might not come in. So that's something you want to consider on hot markets. I want to say hi to Jackie. Good evening. New builds is my love language, so we're going to go over those for you, Jackie. Your love language. Marcella. Glad I'm watching. Eric, how's it going, buddy? How about Los Angeles? We'll pop those numbers. You could probably rewatch. You can see all those numbers in Los Angeles. How do you qualify for FHA? Junior's asking that question. In Orange County, definitely Min will pop on and get your information. How you doing, Larissa? Nancy, how's it going? JP, how's it going, buddy? Just got you on that auto search. Hopefully you'll find some homes you're looking for. And we're looking for, we have a little time. We have a little
beginning
game
the journey
plan here, right? Beginning the journey, and we just started the first step on that journey. So looking forward to helping you out, buddy.
Yep.
So let's go to the news, Ryan.
Yeah, let's hit the news. So as we keep going over, we listen to all kinds of different news threads out there, and we pick out as much true fact as possible, nice quotes, and try and bring it to you in a consolidated format. Here's some of the stuff we've been seeing and our take on it. So the CAR Senior Vice President and Chief Economist Leslie Appleton Young says, right now, this is an interesting stat. California, about 20% of the market is jumbo.
That's
so
crazy.
Talk to one of the Loan Depot guys today. He's like, yeah, from that 800,000 to 1.5 million, the jumbo, that's been completely elusive. These lenders have not been funding it. And so you have 20% of our market is that higher end jumbo loan market. And it is completely, the lending is almost completely gone away. There's only a few lenders doing it. I talked to Loan Depot guys today. They said they're bringing it back most likely in the next 30 days, and trying to get it to where it's less of a down payment requirement as well. Because a lot of these lenders that were doing it move their down payment from, say, 20% to like a 30 or 40% down to be able to get those loan amounts. And so that market, we're already seeing signs of it starting to rebound. That's great news. But when you start to hear some of these numbers of, the median price is dropping and things like that, remember, that is all affected because the upper tier market has been hammered hard.
Right.
So you have 20% of the market right off the bat. Jumbo loans couldn't even get them if they wanted them in a lot of places. So just keep that in mind.
All right. Good point, Ryan. Good point.
So I like that stat. And so here were some of the quotes. They went out there. So this is Audrey Bassanu, sales leader, and he's also president of California Association of Mortgage Professionals, sales leader at Guarantee Mortgage. So he's talking about just realtors out there. So some realtors are still proceeding and listing properties. You have offers happening. We talk about this all the time. Things are still moving. You got to remember, a lot of the news you're getting is nationwide. So in New York, for example, there's been much more of a halt to everyday real estate. Here in California, Orange County, we've got limited deaths. We're an essential business. Deals are still getting done, especially that first-time home buyer in those first two move-up tiers. But he's saying, but I have clients who have been shopping for a year plus and are calling him now saying, I've been in this apartment, and as soon as this is over, I need a house. I need to buy a place. So he thinks there will be a lot of pent-up demand once it's over. I'm already seeing it. 2 months ago, as we were starting to enter some of this, there was some worry. I had clients saying, hey, we're going to wait, hold off and see what happens. They see now the properties they've been watching on these auto searches, the ones that are good, that pop up, that they like, they're gone instantly. And they realized, what are we waiting for? We've got jobs. Let's get the house we want. And I absolutely believe that a lot of the pent-up demand is sitting on the sidelines and it's ready to get back. I know we've had our phones blown up over the last week and two, really, where people who were sitting on the sidelines are ready to get back. So we do see that happen as well. So it's nice to see other people seeing it happen as well. So also, California Station Realtors, Appleton Young, agreed that pent-up demand will uncork when the pandemic abates, but she theorized that not every market is going to be swept up with a new tide of buying and selling. I can't agree more. There are certain markets who are still going to have a hangover effect from COVID. It's going to be lasting. And there's certain price points in every market. We talk about this all the time. So here in Orange County, the over 1.2 million, we see those days on market lengthening. We see that market's going to take a little bit more of a hit. But there's serious buyers out there and there's serious sellers. So we see that kind of across the board. And there's an argument that people are going to be more interested in less dense housing and be more able to work remotely. We're seeing a lot of information trickle out from millennials who are looking in, they were in co-living spaces that now they're ready to go out and get their own house because they don't want to be around a bunch of strangers who, when something like this, potentially breaks out again. And you have people that are in these urban cores that are like, hey, you know what? It's time for us to maybe go in the suburbs where we've got more space or work remotely, from a different state and stuff like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how some of housing just changes and evolves throughout all of this. So, and then she's basically saying here that I think we're going to see a significant drop in the demand for this commercial and retail sector real estate. So again, when you guys are listening to the news out there and you're hearing, real estate is a broad term. You have to remind yourself, are they talking residential real estate? I hear a lot of the negatives rolling out of Wall Street, and it's the retail sector. Malls are dying. Commercial properties are having issues. So remember that all of this gets packaged up when you're hearing negative news about real estate. And you got to say, wait, what compartment are we talking about? Because there are some bright spots and there are some, burning out stars over here, such as malls and stuff like that. So just make sure you're paying attention to what information they're talking about. And tonight, so this is some information about new homes as we roll into our update about new housing. Want to bring this to you. These are some of the trends that are coming out of COVID-19 as well. And we've got newly built homes have an advantage amid the pandemic as they're easier to show in person. They're vacant. They have that whole cleanliness about them for the most part as they're being new. And then right now, there's actually in a lot of markets more newly built homes for sale than existing homes, resale homes. So in this market, it's not quite more, but it is definitely still easier to show. And then another factor feeding the increase in home sales is that apartment dwellers in urban areas are starting to move to the suburbs. So we have that urban sprawl, again, sprawling out into the suburbs. And then the right now, so we've seen some negative news come out of builders. Originally, when the pandemic hit, they were saying there was a 65% decrease in interest at the builders, even though, as Troy and I keep talking about, they still had no inventory to sell. There was a drop of interest. A lot of them had shut their doors originally and then were doing an appointment only. Now they've started to scale back and do a lot more appointments. They're doing a lot more virtual tours and things like that. I've had no problem showing any new homes recently. And some of the news coming back is that first 65% drop, it's already come back and they've seen a 35% increase again. So just remember that the builders are already seeing a recovery there. D.R. Horton, for example, turned in better than expected fiscal Q2 results, and they're already observing an upturn in weekly sales for the most recent 2 weeks. Wall Street went on a tear on new home builders today based on that as well. So just that's some of the news that's coming out there. We're keeping an eye on it from the broadest strokes to the most local of updates. And especially as it relates to new builds, because we know a lot of you out there are really focusing your search on new builds with this lack of inventory out there.
Yeah. So I put together 6 things you must know about purchasing a new build. A lot of times, and let's go to the first slide, Ryan. A lot of times you walk in there and, this weekend I went to 3 different communities with my client, and I see people, and it's very interesting. They come in and go, and they're trying to figure out what they want, what's going on. And I'm like, and it's almost like that everyone's leaning in and listening to some of the conversations I have with the sales associate, because it's very important to know 4 or 5 points when you walk in to find out what is really important. The very first thing I want to tell everyone is that what you want to do if you're interested in new builds is to go out and find the right real estate agent, a realtor that knows new builds, that knows how to negotiate with them, knows to ask the right questions, and that will represent you, especially when it comes to contracts. And if we look at, just for an example on contracts, just alone, If I were to walk in and we were to look at a resale home and I wrote an offer, it's an 11-page offer. When you go to a new build and you walk in and they want you to sign a contract, it's 100 pages. And guess what? Do you think it's leaning towards the buyer or it's leaning towards the builder? We all know it's leaning towards the builder. Number two, and most importantly about a real estate agent, these builder cannot give you a discount if you do not use a builder. It is not legal to do that. So whether you walk in without a real estate agent or you don't walk in without a real estate with the real estate agent, either way, it doesn't matter. The builder is not going to give you a better deal. So why not be represented? I've said this over and over and over. You know, the more unhappy people don't realize what the contract actually says, what their rights are, what other fees and costs are, what's happening after the sale of the property. You know, I mean, the builder tells you all day, I got a 10-year warranty. Yeah, extremely limited 10-year warranty. It's just not what it seems, right? You buy that new car, there's a lemon law. You buy a new house, there's no lemon law. You're going to deal with what you're going to deal with, and the builder only has so many warranties out there. So definitely, rule number one, go find a experienced real estate agent that has dealt with new builds, that goes out there and knows all their tricks that they don't tell you about and that can represent you properly. Number two, got to know tax rate.
Yep.
So again, if I'm out there, Ryan, what's typically the tax rate in Southern California on resales?
You have a base 1%.
Okay.
For a normal resale. Everything else tacked onto it, you're at about 1.25%. That's what most lenders will go ahead and pre-approve you on. But these new homes with Mello-Roos, communities, facilities districts, landscape and lighting districts, you're gonna want to ask. A lot of times you're going to be close to 2%, and that can absolutely blow your pre-approval amount out of the window. We hear it all the time. Oh, I'm approved for $500,000, so I want to see this new construction home that's listed at $499,999. Well, the tax rate's higher than what you've been approved on. There's an HOA on that, and on top of it, that is a stripped down bare box house. You're going to want, the upgrade of flooring, or you're going to want a light in your kitchen. You're going to want these upgrades, and buy things through the model. And all of a sudden, you're nowhere close to that property you fell in love with at the model. So you want to make sure you're working with somebody who's going to be able to work through with your lender and figure out the exact number on what you're going to be approved from based on that tax rate and
Correct.
Stuff like that as well.
Right. And of course, we talked about HOA. So there's on most communities, there's HOA fees. They can go anywhere from a basic HOA, which covers some of the landscaping on the outside or within the community, to an HOA that's very, very much in your face, that's handling your front lawn, that's handling pretty much everything on the outside of the house. So the communities I went to Eastvale community with Lennar. I went to, I went into Chino, saw a couple of communities within the Chino. There's a great park there as well. And then I saw Tri-Points. A Tri-Point, I went there as well. So all of them had HOAs. My point being is that they were all at $250 to $350. Every single one of them had an HOA.
Well, and then you want to know, what does that HOA cover? I mean, there's certain communities where there's two HOAs. There's a community HOA, and then there's a master community HOA. And what do you get for that money? Sometimes you're paying an HOA and it's just exterior landscaping, not around your house, but around, the common areas around the brick walls and stuff like that on the outside of the community. Sometimes you're going to have a clubhouse, you're going to have a pool. There's going to be things you're actually excited to use, a gym. The other thing you need to ask, and I don't know if it's in a different slide or not, Troy, so just let me know. But if you have an HOA and it's going to have a clubhouse, pool, things like that, and that stuff, those facilities are not built yet, you can't get an FHA loan on it. They won't lend on it unless all of that is built out.
That is another slide.
Oh, sorry. I gave the information too early.
All right.
So what do we got next? So inspections.
Absolutely. So when you're there, you got to go through an inspection, a walkthrough. But as a buyer, do you actually know what you're looking for? And I say this all the time. I get it. You cosmetic stuff here, there. Yes, this is a problem. That's a problem. This is a problem. That's a problem. Yeah. But guess what? The bones of the property is what you really need to look at. So typically, when you're with a real estate agent, not only does he have the eyeball for it, but good real estate agents are going to have a home inspector
Yep.
go through the house step by step by step. Look in the attic. Do a drone over the house to see the roof. I'm telling you, I just did one last week, and we did a walkthrough with the builder and the builder's representative. We blue taped it all up, and then boom, right after that was over, we had a home inspector go. He goes in the attic. Here's a problem right here. We went on the roof.
And it's,
here's an issue.
I was going to comment earlier. You said, "Oh, there's no limit law on houses." Well, with a new home construction, what you do get is you get a 10-year structural warranty, and you normally get a 1-year fit and finish warranty. But if you're not walking in the attic, you're not going to see some of these structural defects. If you sell this home 11 years out, you're not going to be able to go back to the builder and do anything about it. And we have absolutely been in attics where we've seen broken trusses. We've seen where all of a sudden the AC guys came in after the framers and they had to cut stuff out of the way on a pre-done truss. These are huge issues. We've seen roofs where there wasn't enough venting and it was going to create the whole structure to expand and contract incorrectly because there wasn't enough venting. It would have just popped like a balloon. These things, they would have added up and created issues over time, and you might have been outside of that warranty period. You want to get a professional home inspection. They're not the ones there with the blue tape saying there's a nick in the drywall.
Right.
They're going to be looking at the true systems of the home, the structure itself, the things that you're not going to be able to know to even look for.
Right. I'm telling you, one of the biggest issues I've had on a consistent basis is ducting in the attic.
Oh, I believe it.
It's just thrown up there, shoved in.
And you know what? Let's be honest. The city inspector, he's walking through. He's looking at 20 of these things. He's like, okay. You know, they're not going in the attic on a lot of these. I've been with the city inspector. They're definitely not crawling if there's crawl spaces. And most new homes aren't going to have crawl spaces. But, you know, just doing our own work, when we have a crawl space, I've never once seen an inspector crawl under there. Sometimes they'll ask for pictures at best. And same thing, I've had inspectors that'll stick their head up in the attic to look at, you know, the heater and AC, but a lot of them just assume that it's being done right on new construction, and they're just rubber stamp signing off on it. You want an inspector who's going to go through end to end in your attic and look at everything up there.
Yeah, and again, it goes right back to hiring the right agent to help you walk you through this process of inspections with the new home builder.
Yeah, so if any of you are out there, you've been visiting new home builders, you have questions, let us know. Hit us up right now in comments. We'd love to answer any questions you have. I love going to new home builders because they're always coming out with new terms and new things. The one I see all the time now is the drop zone. So coming in from the garage, there's a lot of these back east, it's a mud room. We don't have a lot of mud here, so they're drop zones for your cell phones and keys and junk and stuff like that. So I love their new terminology as they're trying to reinvent things that have already been invented. But yeah, I want to give a couple shout outs to my neighbor. Matt Poutsman is on here. I want to say what's up to Jerry Jervis. Hey, when we write offers on your properties, make sure to accept them for our amazing Wham Fam and House Heroes clients. Christine Sy, good seeing you on here. Hopefully your mom and dad are doing well. Hopefully they're ready to start looking at some new homes there too. You have any questions over there?
I have just a ton of shout outs. IMAD, thank you guys for all the info. No problem. Rigo Hernandez, buenos noches from Los Angeles, man.
I love it.
You're locked down. You're hunkered down in LA. He won't let you out the house, right? Garcetti. Jorge says, do new builds price drop or do they stop building? Actually, prices are not dropping and they're continually building.
But you're right. So most of these builders, especially when you have a very large community, they're not going to eat away at their own profits. They do. They just scale back the rate of building. I talked to one of my buddies who's a vice president at the Irvine companies, and he's like, hey, when we have a low demand, we just stop building and we'll focus on something else, building our rentals, building our commercial stuff. Their whole operation is such a cash cow, they don't need to build. They just stop. And if you look at them, for example, they own the land. They'll sell that land or they'll co-partner with other developers on the land. So you might have a Lennar who comes in and builds there, and they split profits and stuff like that. So they don't need to keep huge crews working, just to make sure that they keep their crews working. Some of these builders in the past, that's where they got burned. They're like, well, we got these people, we need to put them to work or we're going to lose them. And they just keep going. Builders learn from that. They will completely scale back. Leading up into this, they started, I was talking to one of the guys, I think it was at Pulte. He was saying what they were doing is where before they had 8 homes in each phase release, they scaled it back to 4 in each phase release. Not even so that, because they didn't have enough demand. They had so much demand and it was taking long enough to build these. They wanted more phase releases so they could actually raise the price more each phase, because they had people waiting, and they're telling them, oh, it's a 7 to 10 grand jump. And then they were jumping 20 and the people were getting all mad. So they said, all right, well, we're just going to go 4 at a time and say it's a 7 to 10 jump. But now we have more phases. We just double the phases so we can double those jumps. And it really incentivizes buyers to come in at the earlier phases. So.
Yeah. So, to make the long story short here, the communities I went to, there was actually a phase release that hasn't even been released for another week or so. There was other ones that you had no standing inventory.
No.
In fact, all three of the communities I went to, there was only one that had just fallen out where you could purchase in 30 days. Everything was October, December delivery, or it was, hey guys, get you on the VIP list, and we'll get you at the next phase release. We'll call you up.
And I've talked to a couple of the builders we've sold homes, sold clients' homes to in the past. I call them up, hey, what do you have going on there? Do you have anything falling out? And it's always like, we had something come on last week. It was on the market for a day and was gone. It's like, wow, like literally everything's just getting burned up right off the market.
So, okay, so what's the next
solar.
One? Right, next one's solar.
Boom.
You got to know about solar.
You absolutely have to know about solar.
You have typically 2 choices, sometimes 3 choices on solar. You can either purchase it, you have a power purchase agreement, or you can lease it. Those are your 3 choices.
Yep.
Make it known that every single builder, regardless of who you are in the state of California, has to have solar options for you on every single property. You're not going to get it from Southern California Edison or your electric company. It's not happening anymore, because we don't want to overbuild and put all that pressure on the power company. So with that being said, you got to understand it. Now, if I took it one step at a time, if I just simply buy it, that means I'm paying a monthly fee, which you're hoping would just simply offset whatever you thought you think you're using in electrical. That would be great. Now, if you're leasing it, and a lot of communities now are not giving you the purchase, choice. You actually don't have purchase. You're just going to lease it.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple builders, and they're just they're not even letting you lease it. They only had one option, and it was a power purchase agreement. And so, as we're going through these 3 level here, a power purchase agreement is where instead of buying it from a normal utility provider, think of Edison, PG&E, you're first buying it through, let's say, Vivint Solar. So the builder has somebody else put those panels on the roof, and they own it. They get the federal rebates. They're up there, and you have agreed to buy your electricity first from the roof. And then whatever needs you have after that, you buy from the grid. And so it keeps your costs down, but you've really got no control over that. You've agreed to buy that. Now with the lease, like Troy's saying, and some builders don't even have the lease option, that's where you've got, maybe a 10, 15, 20-year term on those panels. At some point in time, they become yours. And then you need to ask them, who is getting that federal rebate? Normally, it's not you, it's that leasing company. But that's still better than going directly through the grid. And normally it's a little better than a power purchase agreement. Mm-hmm. And then there's buying outright. And one of the interesting things there is we talked about the assessments. So when you're buying, let's say you buy a new home at $500,000, that's what the county is going to start your tax rate as for your, let's say in a new build with Melrose, it's at 2%. So you're paying 10 grand a year in taxes. But if you tag on a $20,000 solar, that does not raise your property values by 20 grand. So there's a form they fill out. So just keep that in mind. Some people were worried that we've dealt with in the past that it's going to up their tax rate. It does not. But then you also get those federal tax rebates. Mm-hmm. And a lot of lenders, if it will appraise with the solar on there, you can then basically pay that solar off over 30 years, get the federal tax rebate, and not have that increase in tax bases. So if you're in a position to be able to make that happen, I know that's definitely a win-win-win for a lot of clients out there. But again, you've got to check and see, does a builder allow that to all take place? All right.
So then we talked about FHA financing and FHA. So, the majority of clients out there and that we have are going to be FHA. Why? Rates are fantastic with FHA right now. And it's a great entry level, only 3.5% down. So it's one of the lowest amounts that you're putting down on a home. And so when you go to a builder, FHA has changed some of their guidelines on what they will approve on these new builders. And one of the issues that we just ran into this year is that FHA guideline is that you have to have built out all the common areas, especially the pool and the clubhouse. If there is one in the community, has to be built out before you can go in and ask for approval from FHA. So what does that mean? That means that when the builder is pressing you to use their lender and he's pressing you to use conventional only, which was a higher rate than FHA, is because the builder put themselves in a situation where they're deciding to go ahead and build that, clubhouse down the road and not up front.
Well, and it's, I was going to give a shout out earlier. Nate was watching. I know Nate, 2007, 8, bought a house, new development, Tustin, Columbus Square area, and they hadn't built all of the facilities yet. The clubhouse was there, the pool was there, but none of the schools that were promised to build in the neighborhood were built yet before, the market hit skids, right? You had the great recession there. And none of that got built for, it was years, probably 5-6 years
Even
after
though
that.
Paying for it through taxes.
Well, and that's it, but you're paying through these increased taxes. You were told when you bought this house, you're going to have all these brand new schools right there. And so that's one of the things you definitely want to ask the builder about as well. When will these facilities be built? So even if you're using conventional financing, you want to know, when is that pool built? Is the money set aside for that pool? Is the money set aside for that clubhouse? Has that contract already been drawn? You want to make sure that there's no way that can go south after you buy this home. Same thing with schools. If you want your kids to be in that new school, you need to ask, what's the timeline? Who's in control of that? And pay attention to those kinds of things.
Right. And this is a very, very big deal right now. A lot of communities, even though they have enough, buyers rolling in and purchasing their properties and there's really no standing inventory, they're really just like a lot of mortgage lenders. They're trying to cherry pick the best buyers. They want the conventional buyer with 5, 10, 20% down. This is a way to cherry pick, right? And because the market's so hot. If the market was dead, they want everybody, right? Yep. They're going to go after everybody. But this is a way to hold back and give an excuse to the federal government. Hey, the federal government's the one that's not going to actually do this, right? They're not going to allow lending on this community. Yep. This is, again, if I want to call it a builder trick, I'll call it a builder trick. Because all those communities, they're building all new properties, but they're holding off on that pool. They're holding off on the clubhouse and the common areas. It's one of the last things that are being built there.
So what's this slide about, Troy?
Well,
just slip this one in. I knew nothing about it.
When you get a good, real estate agent that has a lot of experience and background in new builds, you should be getting a free home inspection report, right? Instead of you paying it out of your pocket, your real estate agent should be paying it out of their pocket, helping you out, right? It's unfortunately
on new builds,
on just new builds, right? Yeah, on new builds. And so one of the things, besides getting that we want to do as a real estate agent is give you that free home inspection, is to understand that as we wrap up all 6 of these things, the thing that we need to discuss more also is what the value of the property is and the appraised value. Okay? Big deal. If I were to add, like Ryan had said earlier, some extras onto the home, or I added solar onto the home, or I added blah, blah, blah on the home, if the appraisal doesn't come in, you have appraisal contingency on resale homes. Okay? Let me make this clear to a lot of people out there.
Yep.
If it doesn't come in on a new build, for the most part, for almost all new builds, they want you to bring in the difference, cash.
And it says, especially when you're at the at the design center adding these features, it says if it doesn't appraise, you agreed to buy these floors, to buy all these things, cash.
So let me wrap this all up.
Yeah.
Let's put a little nice little button,
little nugget,
bow and a button, right? It's because they're cherry picking the best clients. They don't want people that can just barely put the 3.5% down, maybe have closing costs or not. Even though you're qualified, they want to go after the 15, the 5, 10, 15%ers because they're going to have money if the appraisal doesn't come in. But let's go one step further. Appraisal doesn't come in. They're not negotiable. Okay? They're not going to go, oh yeah, well, we'll meet you in the middle. No, You pick those extra things out. So just like going to the store, you're going to go purchase them right out of pocket. Remember that, guys. It's not wrapped up in the loan, right? Unless it's the appraisal comes in.
Yep.
And when appraisals don't come in, you need to be, you need to have representation.
Well, you need representation.
With a real estate agent. I know Ryan, and again, we go back to Nate Call, one of our good friends who's a title rep in our industry who bought a home. It took a month and a half of negotiating back and forth with the builder before the builder bent and allowed a deduction with all those add-ons that he had. Right?
Yep. Yeah. Appraisal came in short, and we've had it where the appraisals come in short. It says in all their contracts, doesn't need to drop the price. You need to come in with cash. Everything comes down to negotiation in life. So you got to come in, you got to know what to say, how to say it, what information to come over, what comps to use, how to explain the appraisal, and really pound that builder hard and show them why it's in their best interest to take your purchase price that you can get it appraised for. So we've been very lucky on being able to negotiate that in more than one instance. But you have to remember when you're picking all those extras that, if it doesn't appraise, you could be in a world of hurt.
Right.
So yeah, and just remember, in a new home, the builder is going to fix these things. That's why we pay for this inspection report. Plus, we're obviously not out there quite as much on these new home builds. Talk to your agent who's out there. Make sure that they understand how to negotiate. If appraisal comes in short, make sure that they're taking care of you on this inspection, and make sure that they're going to walk you through what we see all too often. And even the new home builder sales reps there say, wow, you're showing up for this appointment. Use your agent. Ask your agent to be there along the way. Most new home builders expect that agent just to refer them the client and then hightail it out there. You definitely want to make sure that your agent is there with you throughout that process. Even talk to them about what options you're putting in, what things you're going to be picking at the designer. I'm always talking to my clients, hey, these are things I think you should do now. These are things I think you should be doing later with an outside contractor. So
great. Well, guys, I definitely appreciate you guys showing up on a Tuesday night. We're kind of in our live here. I know we've got a few minutes over. We try to keep it down to 30 minutes, but it turns into 45 real quick. I have one big shout out before we get off. I want to shout out to Amber, one of the bigger, House Hero fans and Wham fans. It's her birthday today.
What? Happy birthday, Amber.
I have a feeling that Amber currently is not watching. She's probably got a couple of shots of Crown in front of her and enjoying her family and some family time. Good for her. I hit her up today. I go, you must be having Crown like crazy today. And she goes, you know what? It's so busy. And she works in hospital at Kaiser. She goes, it's so busy. They won't give you a birthday off. It's crazy. So I said, hey, have a few, when you get home with your family. She said she definitely will. So I want to throw a shout out with her. Guys, thank you very much. Again, if you have any other comments, we'll definitely answer them for you. Hit the notification button. We come on live. Actually, Wham comes Monday. We come Tuesday. Wham comes Wednesday. We have the Spanish,
on Thursday, and then we're back Friday.
And then we have Instagram every single day. Guys, thank you very much. We definitely appreciate you watching us. Ryan, any last comments?
Yeah, happy birthday. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Sean Potter. So happy birthday, big boy. Hope you're having a good one. Yeah, other than that, peace. God bless.
Peace. Take care. Happy house hunting.